That works.
We can.
There we are.
We live?
I think so.
Oh.
Hi, guys.
Hi. How you doing?
Just a second, guys. Sorry.
We are. It says we're live. I'm gonna
yeah.
put the volume down. We're just
Okay.
sharing.
Sharing.
Hello.
Please share. Alyssa, what's up? What's up?
Can you guys hear us okay? Share. Technology.
Hey, guys.
And yo,
Jim, what's up? What's up, buddy? Oh, I'm glad Jim's on. That'll be fun. Coach Dan, what's up? What's up? How we doing, buddy? Good to see you, brother. Take control of your technology.
Done. Boom. Okay, and our Keurig, full disclosure, and first world problems, but our Keurig wasn't working, and we didn't stop for Starbucks after dropping the kids off today. Yeah. So we have our real coffee pot brewing some coffee right now.
Exactly. Joe, what's up? What's up, buddy? How we doing? What's up? What's up? How we doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. All right, who else? Big Jim. Yo, buddy.
Hello. And it was Jim's question that kicked this off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jim, you are the creator of this show, buddy.
You inspired it.
That's my brother from another mother there. He inspired this amazing topic. And we're going to fix all the problems here today.
Yeah.
In half hour.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how good we are. We can literally change your world in 30 minutes. It's amazing.
I mean, I change your world every day in about 5.
Exactly.
Terrible.
I'll tell you what, I am hurting, guys. I am hurting in a good way. In a good way. I'm getting back in playing shape. For those of you that don't know, I'm getting back in playing shape, and I'm very excited about it. It's amazing what happens though when you start to do. It's funny how my body feels absolutely crushed, and right now super sore, courtesy of Coach Keto Vax and Coach Rob there at Training Aspects.
You say that very nicely.
What's that?
The way you say his name. Say it very nicely.
Keto. Artist formerly known as Kevin.
Yes.
And it's amazing how you can feel in one way, right? The one thing that inspired me to get this going was, I talked about it, guys, a little bit. If you weren't following there, where I was starting to get in that place where I was just feeling down lately. I was just feeling there was a couple of weeks in where I think it was a combination between just, weather-wise, what was going on, being indoors more. I got sick twice, which is crazy. I haven't been sick 2 in a row. I got stomach, then I got man cold, I guess, if you want to call it, with a fever. So I don't know how man cold has actual fever attached to it, but so it was a few things ended up coming. And so it was all right, spend some time. I'm in this place, and I'm starting to feel a little bit down, sad, depressed, whatever you want to call it, of that energy. And so I realized I got to do something to get things going, right? And that's the part that we talk about all the time, is that what do you do to get out of it? Control what you can't control. Control what you can't control. You hear it a million times, but what do we actually do with our own lives to control what we can't control? So if I'm feeling a certain feeling, what we understand about mindset development, performance development, is you can do something to get yourself out of it. So I spent some time all right, I know I don't want to be in this place. I know it doesn't help me to be with this energy, carrying it around. And so I decided I want to get back in playing shape. I created a 90-day goal intention of, I want to get back in playing shape. I just want to feel what the players feel like again. And back in the day, it's been 12, 13 years now since I've worked this hard in the gym. I was working out, doing stuff, but now to get back to what the players are doing, whole different level. And it's awesome because in a couple of days of starting, my body feels shredded. I feel sore as crap right now. But you know what? My mind and my spirit feel great. And that's why something that simple can literally change by you making that choice. It's incredible how I right away feel rejuvenated, excited, and going, even though my body physically feels like crap right now. I mentally feel awesome. So it's interesting, right? The dynamics of just how that works and why it's so important to be able to identify what your needs are, direct them, and then own it. All right, I'm feeling sad. What can I do about it? All right, I'm feeling happy. Great. Awesome. I feel great. Who can I give this energy to? These are the things that different parts of when you talk about high performance or mindset, whatever, optimizing your performance, all these different things, labels, whatever word you want to put towards it. But fundamentally, when we say control what you can control, we have a lot more control than we realize. There's plenty of stuff we can't control, but the things that we can control, we can both assure you it can be done. So we're talking about controlling technology today.
That was nice.
Yeah.
There. I was impressive.
Mm-hmm. That's what I do. I connect the dots. I put them together. Thank you. So we talked about, as this popped up, right? This was interesting, guys. It's funny when we talk about technology. I'm always fascinated by how we always discuss how it's such an issue with players. Right? We always put it on the players and the kids. These kids today, all they do is this is them, this is them, that's it. These kids today. And I love how we always project that energy of that it's just the kids. That it's just the kids.
True that.
It is not just the kids. Let's put that right away. It is not just the kids. It's all of us. All of us, right? It's holistic. Everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing it. So let's not pretend they're the kids. How do I help them gain control? Because they won't stop playing their video games. Oh, wait, video games, that's not technology. That's not the same thing. They're playing video games. Me being on my phone and surfing.
Video games on the iPad and on the iPhone.
Me, I'll be on my phone all day and looking at this. It's not the same thing as my child playing video games all the time. They're just two different things.
Our brains are more developed than theirs.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Our brains are already past the point of no return.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Ted, what's up? What's up? Mikey, Coffee, what's up? What's up, brother? Party Scooter, Angel, what's up? What's up? Good to see you. I haven't seen her in ages. Jim, yeah, take another shot of the pros. Oh yeah, absolutely, buddy. Absolutely.
Someone come sign him.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'm available. She said, "You want me? Give me a couple more weeks. I'll be ready to go."
Just send the contract to me to review first. Just mail the checks here.
Exactly. But that's the elephant in the room of the one thing we want to put right off the bat is this isn't just for the kids. This is all of us, right? We know that if technology is an issue in your mind, right? And this is another fundamental, again, language is my offense, awareness is my defense. We talk about this, guys, of is it an issue for you? Do you feel it's an issue for you? Or maybe you don't feel it's an issue. But the reason we're here today and on having this and talking about it is because obviously there's a lot of people that feel it's an issue. It's a problem.
I do.
How do we gain control of it?
That not kids, but like all of us,
yeah.
I do feel like it's a bit of an issue.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like we're obsessed with our phones for sure.
And why?
Well, there's a scientific reason for why.
Yep. And why?
I forget what the word is, but it's like a drug. It's like
Dopamine.
There's several aspects of it that make it a drug. It's the actual light of the screen.
Yep.
You know, it's the getting likes and comments, or
yep.
You know, in terms of video games, you know, it's a competition.
Yep.
You know, FOMO.
Oh yeah.
Fear of missing out. It's like the opportunity, like what was the saying, like back in the day, like not the grass is always greener, but keeping up with the Joneses.
Yep.
Right? That's keeping up with the Joneses in your face 24/7.
Yep.
With the phone.
It's funny. 4 of the 5 things you just mentioned, I forget what the first one, but 4 of the 5 things you just mentioned.
The screen light.
The screen light. Exactly. Okay. That's why I wasn't connected there. 4 of the 5, social. Social.
Of course.
Social. Everything was socially based. And there it is right there, right? Fundamentally of that dopamine effect, that part of what gets us going with technology is the social aspect of that feeling of connection with somebody else.
Yes.
Right? So that feeling of connection, I think, is ironic of how, in one way, it's a good thing because, hey, we know what our community or neighbor, what our people are doing. Yeah, why don't you just pull that crap? That community connection is fascinating, right? Because that's what's the driving force of social media and all this stuff is that we want to feel connected. We want to do it. But I think at the core of really what's happening is that because of that dopamine effect, we want to call it, right? Which is we get that same thing as if we see our friend that excites us. Right? It's not a technology thing. If I see you in real life and I see my buddy go into the locker room and, hey, what's up? We get those same feelings inside.
See, what's funny is I see so much on social media that if I saw the person live, there'd be none of that. Anyone?
But
No, like, oh, you see somebody maybe you don't see all that often. They write something, then like you go see them at Starbucks and you barely get the head nod. I'm like, what is that? It's just
That's
me.
funny. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I still get excited when I see the guy. I mean, I talk to the
No, but
guys.
that's
all
like,
the
yeah,
time.
you're guys for sure. But like, there's so many people that you're influencer that you see through social media. See, someone gave me a ha-ha, but
Yeah,
like
good. Give her ha-has. She loves ha-has. Jeff, what's up? What's up? Yeah, how we doing? How we doing? Parental influence, yes. And a dopamine high, exactly. But I think the biggest part, right, is that dopamine high happens not just from technology. It's the social aspect, the connection that I think we should pay more attention to and give it, you know, its credence that it deserves, right? Like we have to be able to look at it and go, this is why. This is why all this stuff, technology, we want to put this label on that technology. I think we have to be careful with that because it's not a technology thing, it's a social thing. It's a social thing. And we're going to get deeper into that and what we mean with all that stuff.
Yeah.
But red that blue light on screens interpret as a form of sunlight and cause the body. Yep.
Melatonin and prevent us from easily going to sleep.
Yep. That's true. Yeah, there's research. Yep. I've seen that too. That does that. It basically makes you think, yeah, it's daytime. That same exact effect on that part.
Yeah, even with the blue light.
Tricks the body. So what's fascinating, guys, about, you know, when we think about the whole part of understanding this whole aspect of the technology part, first and foremost is how are we looking at it? What's our perspective on it, right? What's our perspective on it? We have to be able to say, all right, do I see it as a good thing or do I see it as a bad thing or do I just see it as what it is? And it's something that might be distracting me, something that pulls me away from focusing on what I want to focus on. That fundamentally is more important, the questions that I think we have to answer with it, right? Yeah. It's funny, Jim, we talked about this before. One of the things that I feel is happening with technology is we're giving it too much of a bad rap. We keep using, right? When we say language is our offense, we're creating this thing, we're putting it in the air in our environment that it's the new racist thing. It's the new, oh my God, that's so bad for you. When the reality is technology is not all bad and it's not bad. It's how you use it. It's how you perceive it, right? If you have control of it, if you have control over your technology, it can be a great thing. If you don't have control over your technology and it controls you, which is why automatically the things we know about the unconscious and how the mind, if you don't control and you're not deliberate about how you're using your technology, then yes, it can easily start to control you. And I think that's the part that we have to be more mindful of, is that understanding, don't put a bad rap on technology because it's not bad. It's not bad. Technology is a great thing. It's bringing the world together. There's a lot of information that we have never been able to see before that are at your fingertips. It's changing the landscape of education, of how we take things, of how we communicate with each other, right? Of how we feel about one another. It's changing all of it for the good. So there's a lot of good things that are happening. And also there can be the bad of fake news.
Good and bad in
yeah,
everything.
exactly.
But one thing I think is really important is it's not going anywhere. So
No,
as much as you want to say, we're not going to use it, good luck to you, because you still got plastic on your couch. I mean, but like at some point, there's the acceptance to the fact that this is the new world. This is just different. It doesn't, holding on to the way things used to be, right, is not necessarily going to apply here. But that doesn't mean that we can't find ways to make things healthier, make things better. We should still educate ourselves, but it's
not be afraid of it. That's what it is.
Right. We don't want to assign, technology doesn't have to be bad. It's all about, just like everything else in your life, it's how are you using it? What is it for? What's the purpose?
Exactly.
How is it really making you feel? Is it driving you to feel feelings that are good or things that are bad, and being aware of that? And then what can we do about it?
Like I had a great, put up some research. It's a tool. Exactly. Yep. Did some research a couple of weeks ago. I put up a post. I was like, social media, how does it make you feel? Somewhat along those lines, right? Mm-hmm. And I had about 60 people participating in it, so I know it was like 50-50. Yeah. I feel inspired. I love my social media feed, or it makes me feel negative. And it was interesting, like to see, like for the people that it makes you feel negative, it makes me think of like, well, all right, well, who are you following? who do you have on there? Are you being intentional? Or, you know, is that something that for you, are you realizing that it's making you feel negative? Then maybe you shouldn't be on social media. Maybe that's it. Maybe for you, social media is creating this thing, this angst that maybe you shouldn't be on. So I found it fascinating that I was glad.
There's a lot of people that that scrolling through social media is a trigger.
Yeah.
That if they're already maybe not in a great place, it's going to add fuel to that fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's certain times of the day they're more triggered. I know triggered is such like a whatever word these days, but like they're a bit more triggered than not. Yeah. You know, and it's again not surprising that we're mentioning, you know, self-awareness as part of this journey. But I think we need to distinguish to some degree here as we're talking about kids. There's technology and social media. Yeah. You know, obviously social media is popular because of the technology, you know,
and the social connection.
Right. It's all intertwined. But when we go to technology, I mean, we think of phones and computers and tablets and, you know, and
Siri.
No, I'm sorry.
It's Alexa.
Oh.
Gotcha.
That's why I need my coffee.
Alexa, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling super productive. I've set a gazillion timers, and now I'm brushing up on my Klingon.
Klingon? What? Okay.
I'm surprised there's a single
but she's feeling super productive. You know what? That inspired me.
Is there anyone left watching this right now?
I feel inspired by that. The point is that technology, it's again, right? Your perspective, how you see it, and all that. Social media is a real world. It shows one of the best. Yep, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's for the most part. For the most part, it just depends on who you're watching, who you're dealing with, and that's the reality. It's not. It's.
See, social media, I think, is such a blessing. Like when I think of the connection that we have with our mentors, Brian and Carrie, and I know there's some people watching it do. Like when I think of if we didn't have social media and their influence on me daily, I live, you know, the community of that. Like, and even in our Own My Game program, like where we're able to offer community in a positive influence force. Like, I absolutely love that. Then you like read an article that's supposed to be, you know, a good news, you know, I don't mean political, but I mean like something good happened. And then you like go to the comments and the trolls have taken over and question your thoughts on humanity and where we're going. But it's so polarizing, like so much is going on, but there is so much good. It's just a matter of, again, how are you using it? But why don't we talk a little bit about
the ways to manage it?
Ways to manage. And if I may, just can I share my little?
Yeah. Of course.
So I just read actually last night, we're in the Philadelphia area and there's a local magazine, Philadelphia Magazine, and they had an incredible article that's, I guess, associated with this month's issue that is available for free. I'll post the link up later. And it says, teenagers are more stressed than ever, who's to blame? And I highly recommend if you have a little bit of time to read it because it was incredible. But why do I bring up the idea of our youth and being stressed in a situation where we're talking about technology and social media? And they intertwine for a few reasons, because they are in fact more stressed than we were at their age. Life is different for them because of technology and social media and being connected 24/7, because of the state of the world in an economical place or whatever you want to look at it. Like they are living a different life than we had. It not good, not worse. It just is a fact. Like they
we didn't experience it, and we have to be mindful of that.
There was a thing in here that talked about Penn. Like the percentage of people that got into this one school used to be double digits, like 28%, and now it's like 8%. Like it's just the level of competition, whether you play sport or not, for certain things in life. And it's not just mom and dad putting pressure on. The majority is the kids putting the pressure on themselves.
Exactly.
That's what was fascinating to the idea that they're only as good as their last test or last game. You know, again, that doesn't have to be you or us as parents. That is self-pressure, that they're so focused on the metric of a particular outcome of one incident instead of an overall journey.
Which is becoming huge now, right? Everybody's focused on the result, the win, the number, right? I want to be able to measure it. And that's the part that we argue all the time and playing for that feeling is it's not always healthy to measure everything. It gives you measurements give you a good idea, but again, the wisdom of the crowd. How do you measure home ice advantage, versus being in somebody else's barn? The little things like that. How do you measure you're doing the same exact thing in this moment, right? You're whatever. You can work on anything. I'm going to write something, going to work on, writing out a post, whatever, anything like that. And you're around somebody you don't like versus somebody you love. How do you think that is going to come out? How do you think you're going to write something in terms of the environment of what you're around? How do you measure that? How do you measure that? But those are real things. That is real world, actually goes on, but we can't measure it.
Right. So, but I do have something there was a national poll of more than 35,000 teens, and 45% said they were stressed all of the time. And then according to the Centers for Disease Control, the suicide rate for 10 to 19-year-olds rose 56% between 2007 and 2016.
So it was crazy.
Meanwhile, in a survey last year, 64% of university undergraduates said they felt overwhelming anxiety in the previous 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
That was like,
yeah.
Shouldn't have read this one at night. Let's put it that way, because I did not help myself getting to sleep. And I will also put the link to this article because while it was a long one, especially in social media terms, there is so much here. But what has turbocharged teenage life in recent years and arguably made stress and anxiety go viral is the ubiquitous presence of technology and social media. Now, it's funny because the guy that wrote this, he asked his daughter, and the kids feel that social media is generally a great stress reliever, which I know we're going to get into.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good break from schoolwork, a place where she feels supported by her friends. Mm-hmm. But the layers of comparison, the idea of how much time they're starting to look at things. And the one girl said, it's like, I'm comparing my bloopers with your highlight reel.
Oh yeah.
The filters, like this is something I talk about with other moms all the time, like the face filters. It's just setting an unattainable goal for like, whether it's how you look or even editing film for like an athlete. Right. So it has something to say with the amount of stress and the toll that it can feel. So I wanted just to share that little bit as we get into here now, what do we do about it, right? Because that's really what we're here for.
And I think that's where the disconnects are happening of, again, this is what's fundamentally happened. If you look at, the cultural shift, just in general, right, of society, of what's happened is, again, a lot of us on here, we grew up in a totally different environment than the kids are now in so many ways. Technology being one of them, absolutely. But let's talk about our schedules. We grew up playing outside all the time. These kids now, everything is scheduled. You're going to practice, you're going to your lesson, then you've got to go to your other practice with your other team, and then you've got to go do your other sport, you got to go do your music lessons. There's so many things now that are scheduled inside of there where's the break? Where's the break? And
how many days a week was practice for you when you were a kid?
Twice.
No?
2 days a week? Oh, now that depends on the program you're in. Some programs are doing 3-4 days a week easily, but then you're layering on, then you've got, to keep up, I've got to go do lessons the other days, I've got to go to the gym, I've got to get in there. I mean, it depends on the level that you're at, but it's insane. And those are the fundamental differences that, again, a lot of us didn't grow up with, where now we filled it in. So we were used to one perspective growing up, and now we're trying to manage, wait a second, there's this technology thing, there's a social media thing that's alive now that it's not in our day-to-day. We're working, we're raising families, we're doing our jobs, we're doing other things that if they're not connected easily to what we do all day, then it's hard to understand what's going on. For the kids, hey, like you just said, for them, it's a way to get away from everything. It's like a vacation time. It's a break. And there's actual research that shows that. And for them, in their minds, it's like, hey, you know what? I can just go to a place and just let my mind go. And that's the same thing as an adult when you surf the internet. How often you go surfing and you just you go into that place, and there's actually, that's what I was talking about with Jim, was that there's the flow state, there's an intentional flow state where I'm deeply focused on something and I'm completely an artist, right? Troy, I'm sure you know, of where we're totally in the moment. An athlete, I'm completely working on something and I'm completely absorbed in the moment. That's a flow state. But then there's another type of flow state where, you know what? I'm just kind of like bored and letting my mind relax. And I'm just, all right, meditation. I have a relaxation of where just, okay, I'm just letting it wander and whatever comes in, but I'm not intentionally focusing on something. I'm just kind of letting it be and trying to relax myself. And we never think of that. Well, wait a second, is that actually part of it? And there's research that shows, yeah. It is actually like just surfing and relaxing is actually, it's a new way to relax.
I do. There was one other thing I want to point out that I think we need to keep in mind. And I think whether it's from social media, the presence of videos, but like kids don't sound like kids anymore. We even joke that our daughter's about to be 5. She doesn't sound like a 5-year-old. So it's so easy to forget that their brain, just because they sound one way, if you're a teenager, they sound very mature, very aware, they know what's going on, doesn't mean their brains have developed. And it's true. I mean, the frontal part of the brain is not growing as quickly, right? As other executive function isn't fully developed yet in a teenager. So to put it another way, because their brains are still growing, teens are essentially hardwired to react to the world more emotionally. That's why the feedback on social media, it's like it feels like the world's really gonna end. I mean, we can even joke with Naomi at 5, everything is a disaster, everything is huge, we're loving harder, we're crashing harder, we're hating harder, the emotions are so intense. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just the stage of brain development of which they're in. But that's why we need to be careful, right, as to how long and what they're participating in, because their brains aren't developed like ours.
Exactly. And that's fundamentally, right? We'll always have people, with what I do from a performance coaching standpoint, right, is that parents always ask, is my kid too young, and all these other things, right? And the reality is this, is that it's the influence. Right? Is my kid too young? No. If your kid and your family, right, is all about personal development and you're looking for education, and that's what you're looking for, is for somebody to keep guiding you and directing you to a certain destination, right? I want to be a high-level performer. What you're influencing, who you're surrounded by, what you're reading, what your videos you're watching, all these things are what's going to keep your brain on to hold the vision, right? To see the process going. And that's the part of where when we talk about younger players and younger students, it's that the adults in the room, we're the ones responsible for that. We're the ones responsible for taking the ship and driving it right now. So when we talk about technology and that, it's all on us. It's not just the kids. Like, that's the part where I always find it like fascinating in coaching and teaching and parenting and everything. The kids don't know. They're not there yet. But who is consistently influencing them, keeping them inspired, keeping them feeling confident, believing, yes, I see, wow, that works, that's awesome. Reminding them of the same consistent message. Hey, remember that, because we know they can't do this stuff on their own. They're not there yet.
But also, it's the example we're setting.
Yes.
If you're sitting there like this,
Yep.
What are we teaching them?
Exactly.
And I'm guilty. Trust me. I'm not saying that I don't sit here and do that with my kids sometimes, because we're exhausted too. As grown-ups, as adults, at the pace of the world, and you work and you take care of kids, it's hard to be on every moment your kids wait.
I remind myself all the time of I'll block off of I'll hear Naomi's voice saying something and I'll just go, put it down. And just say, hey.
Because they see it. Yep. They see, and you can tell them till you're blue in the face that it's bad, or it's time to put it away. But if they see you on it 24/7, they're going to assume that's okay.
Yep.
And the days are done where you just sit in front of a computer for work. A lot of our jobs are on here.
Yeah.
So but it's setting an example. It's not just the words. It can't be. It has to be. It has to be setting the example.
That's what it is, right? That's why with all this stuff, guys, it's about what you do. What are you doing? I think is at the core of today of the how-to guide. It's when we say, how to take control, it really fundamentally always comes back to, as a parent, what am I doing to set the tone? What am I doing to educate you? What am I doing to inspire you by what I do? And it's the whole identify, direct, own it. Own who you are, own what you want. If I want my child to have other things and less technology, and because I feel like, hey, there's certain things that are going on, well, why? What are you going to replace whatever they do with?
But why do they want, also it's like the why. So the one thing that does trap my ass, the one thing that drives me nuts though is then we shouldn't be putting aside when we actually can have real human
No, 100%. But
so
that's what we're going to, you have to schedule that.
Like, but I mean, or like team
yep.
dinners or whatever's going on. But like, we also have to be mindful, like kids are running an executive schedule these days. For how many days a week you're at practice, plus, you know, everything else you might be doing, whether they're younger, they're starting to get older, all of a sudden there's college prep, there's SAT stuff, you know, there's homework, there's so much going on. But at some point, it's only fair to expect the same way we would like a break, that they get a break, and they need probably more of a break because they don't have the maturity of their brain to really kind of process what's happening. So where's the balance? You know, where does that, and there is no hard and fast rule. This is going to be a trial and error and figuring out what's happening. And, you know, as much as Naomi would love to just sit at home all day and be on the iPad like that. She's like, can I just stay home from school and watch the iPad? I'm like, no. You know, so are we a little more lax in the summer as opposed to, you know, the school year? Yeah. But it's important to find, every kid's going to be different.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, is it video games? Is it scrolling on social media? Is it watching clips on YouTube? I mean, it depends what they're doing with their time, you know, but they're most likely looking for stress relief. Yeah. That is what.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's the out.
Yeah, I think we got to get into the other. Yeah. It's but no, it's exactly it. So the how-to guide, right? So guys, we talked about we had a show a couple weeks ago about habits in general, right? So again, language is my offense. So we know the concept of habits. So day to day, it's creating that routine that if I want to take control of my technology, you've got to have what we know about the research of habits and how they work. The three things we talk about, we use the acronym of ICE, right? Of making sure that it's important. The one thing I found with every single player and anyone we bring into our culture, number one, okay, I want to change. I want to get better. I want to develop. Well, why is that important to you? Why is it important? Right? So making sure right off the bat, if technology, if that's what you want to change, well then first and foremost, like identifying why it's important. So that's the first part of it, right? C is the community part. Community, who's around you, who's influencing you, what's the environment, like what are the people like around you? So again, as a parent, child, coach, all that stuff, we know that the community is everything with that part. So how you're being influenced, we've got to think about. So again, technology, if that's what it is, then we're all in it together. It's holistic. We're all in this together. It's not just, hey, I told you so. It's leading by example, like we talked about, right? And then the last part, guys, is getting after, right? When we say, sorry, people always are writing. It probably throws off the private messages on that. But from E, guys, easy, right? You've got to make it easy. That's the one part, is that there's so many parts that go on, is what are we intentionally crafting that's going to make this technology thing feel easy to do? What can I do inside my schedule that makes it easy to remember, easy to do, and just easy to commit to? Because if I make it this difficult thing and I'm willing myself to do it, I've talked about this many times, you can't just go will yourself and have the amount of effort that it's going to take. Because one of the things we know about the research, guys, that shows that the typical person, adult, the average adult, that's super hyper-focused on anything that they do, you've got about 4 hours, right? Violinists, they've shown research on violinists are the most intense, deep practice, deep focus. You got about 4 hours of concentrated willpower that you can put in that time. After that, you start to go on autopilot. So imagine a kid gets up in the morning, goes to school, 8 hours of school, that willpower is depleted. There you go. So that's something we can get into on a different time. Nick, what's up? What's up, brother? Robert, what's up? What's up, buddy?
Aren't they looking for acceptance more than stress relief? I think it depends on what the outlet is.
Yeah,
I think if they're playing Fortnite, I don't know if that's an acceptance more than just it's off time. It's just
exactly.
Games. I mean,
and it's fun, right? It's fun. I love it. I love putting my time into it.
Instagram, Snapchat, that may feel, you know, there's so many like now.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, it would just depend on what is the outlet. Like technology, as we mentioned in the beginning, it's so huge.
Yeah.
Some kids are really into the video games. Some kids are really into the social media aspect. You know, it's.
Oh yeah. So ICE, guys, right? You think of ICE, right? Making sure that it's important. You've got the community part and that it feels easy. If you kind of keep coming around those components, those concepts, it's going to help to make it, all right, well, technology, all right, what can we get after? So technology is the issue. And again, it's identifying and knowing, why is it an issue? Can I use it to be helpful? Can I not? It's identifying those key behaviors inside of it of where the issues are, right? So getting into what are some of the things that we can do. So the first thing that we can do that I felt was, it actually was really powerful for me, of where it's kind of like basic. You think that it's a normal thing, but it's actually making sure of, guys, that I learned this from Jim Quick when I started to get into my speed reading course. And one of the things that he talked about right off the bat was right away inside the videos of what he was teaching us. And he's the mind guy, brain guy, he does all kinds of stuff, guys. Check him out. Unbelievable resource when he talks about the mind and how to use it to your advantage. There's all kinds of cool stuff on memory and understanding and all that. And I love, can't sing his praise enough. I love this stuff. It's because he makes it so easy, right, to understand of how to use your mind, right, the power of your mind to your advantage. And one of the things that right away that he talked about inside of was that right away when we committed to our speed reading course, it was, all right, I want you to put down right now, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? What time are you going to do it? How many days a week? And when? And where are you going to do it? So I wanted you visually to commit to, all right, I'm going to do it at this time. So I said 7 a.m. I'm going to do it when I'm downstairs in the office, my man cave. So right away I saw, here's the time and here's the location. But I had to put it into my schedule. So inside of our schedule, I've got it right in there, 7 a.m. each day. It's a reminder that this is the time you're committed to. You're going to do your speed reading, and it's going to be downstairs in the location of my office. And it's crazy how powerful it is, right? And that's a part where it's a concept, right? Basically, it's called this concept called implementation intention. And so basically, it's you're saying when and where, and I'm basically just saying, this is when I'm going to act. This is how I'm going to do it. So if technology is something that I look at of, all right, I'm going to commit to technology time. So with your kid, you guys might do this together, right? Again, makes it a little bit easier of a commitment, but this might be something of when I get home from school, after
the homework.
It could be that, right? Or it could be when I get home from school, right? Not after the homework, because that's the thing, right? That's exactly right there. I just came home from school that I used a lot of willpower. I just went through a full day of this feeling of, feeling cooped up or inside this box. I need a little freedom. So when I get home from school, I'm going to play video games for 30 minutes. Something like that, right? I'm going to play video games for 30 minutes from 3:30 to 4 in my room. So I create the exact time that we're going to schedule. Again, as a family, we're going to come up with that time. We're going to commit to a schedule, 3 days a week, 2 days a week, whatever it is. But it could be something like that where you just say, hey, you know what? Let's together come up with a schedule of this is going to be the time that you're going to get to go on and do your video games or surf the net or whatever you want to do, social media, whatever it is. This is the time you're going to commit to. And it's going to be, we're going to have it set up in this location. So you know. And what that does is it creates and makes you feel like, all right, cool. Like now I know that I've got something to look forward to. I know that when I get home from school, I get to do that. I know that when I get my homework done, I get to do that. I know that when I'm done practice, I get to do that. I know when we're done the game, I get to do that. And I think that's the part, right? That's the power of it, is that you're creating a plan, you're directing. We're talking about identify, direct, and own. You're directing it. You're saying, okay, I've got something to look forward to. This is when we're going to do it. And that is really, really powerful. We know it as adults. We've seen it a million times, but I know in our own lives, we do so many different parts of creating the schedule, date night. We knew it's got to be in our schedule. Date night, 6 p.m. every Saturday, babysitter comes, boom, we're off. Location-wise, we don't know. We just know we're getting out of the house.
Well, we actually just implemented too, like Sundays.
Yep.
For like basically from when we wake up Sunday to, because usually Sunday night we prep for the week, so that'd be hard to do without technology. But basically until late afternoon on Sundays, we're not using our phones.
Exactly.
Or I should say social media. It's hard to not make a phone call if you have to like
Yeah.
But like we're not using our phones for social media or for work.
Yep.
So if obviously, you know, these days there's no yellow pages anymore, so you want to like see what time the movies are or whatever. But like we've decided that for that time period every week, we're not going to use our technology in that way. It's just you know, this way we're not getting caught by something else that has to be done. Dangle the carrot.
Dangle the carrot. Yeah, exactly. but that's the whole idea, guys, is that commit to that scheduled time. That's a great way of putting it, right? It's exactly it. Like you want to look forward to something, right? You want to know like, all right, cool. At this time, I know that's going to be in there. And again, it sounds simple, but it's amazing how when we talk about the speed reading part of I have it in there, 7 a.m., I know it's in there. When I have days that I don't complete it, I know that as I'm looking, I'm like, all right, I know that I got to get it done. And it still stays in there with me of, I know that I got to get it done. Right now, working out. I was struggling to get it going. You know, my brother, his schedule changed, everything changed. And I realized that's it. You know what? Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm committing to 1 p.m. and I'm going over to my buddy's place at Training Aspects. That's exactly what I do. As soon as we're done here, 1 o'clock today, I'm heading over to do what? To go work out and train at my gym. Because I know that for me, in order to go work out and do that, that's what it has to be.
Nathan's giving you lots of
love. Oh, yeah.
All right, what's number 2?
I want to start eating those. The second thing we talk about right as we go is habit stacking. So I love this concept. I like to identify, direct, and own. Yeah, I do, baby. I do. Yep. Love it. Keep it simple, right? Love the acronyms. We have to, right? There's so many great things we can have, and that's the part. Amy, what's up? What's up? Habit stacking, guys. James Clear, right? We talk about Atomic Habits. Unreal book. Make sure the light's on there. Unreal book. And again, I've been diving deeper into understanding habits and environment and really getting after it. And I read a lot of great things from Ben Hardy as well. Willpower doesn't work, but habits, right? And we get the concepts and ideas of important, right? Making sure it's community-based, making sure it feels easy. It's all about understanding the research and the science behind using it to our advantage of what do we know about habits. Unbelievable book. Can't say enough about it. One of the things he talks about, guys, is habit stacking.
Amy wants to know if you, or Jim, did you speed read that?
Nope. Well, some of the stuff I got everything highlighted in there. But, you know, habit stacking. You know, the different parts, guys, of what I love about the habit stacking, right, is that it builds off of, and that's what we just started talking about, and it builds upon, you know, what we just said in the first one. But again, they all attach in their own way, but conceptually we have to be able to look at it. So it's understanding that one of the things that habit stacking formula, right? So that's what we just touched on, right? Is that BJ Fogg talks about here is that there's a habit stacking formula where after my current habit, I will put in a new habit, right? So it's what we just talked about. After I finish my homework, I will spend 30 minutes playing my video game. Maybe that's something we want to do. After I get home from practice, I will surf for 1 hour online. After I eat my meal after the game, I will go online and play whatever it is, put in 30 minutes of my video game. So it's basically what you're doing is we already know the habit is in place. I already do something, right? So for a parent out there, right? After I take off my shoes, right, I will immediately go do my workout, right? It's stuff like that. But those are the concepts, and the idea is that habit stacking is based off of, it's already something that you naturally do. It's an easy part of your process. This is something it's a part of my day-to-day routine. But what I'm doing is, and Ben Hardy talks a lot about this environmentally with addicts as well, is that what you're doing is you're quickly saying and directing yourself towards, all right, when I complete this, which is already a normal part of my day, right? I know that it's easy. I already do that. After I have my coffee, okay, whatever it is, I will do what? And so that's another part of being able to look at inside of habit stacking. What are we already doing? That's a part of my day-to-day routine. They come home from practice, or they're doing something already as a family. We're having dinner, whatever it is, that's already a part of the day-to-day routine that you're not going to change. But I know technology comes in the way during that time. So I'm going to replace it with what? And I think another important part, guys, to that I had put in here was that what's important in there is important. It's important. So one of the things that strategically you can use as a family and as a parent is, what's the agreement? What are we going to agree to? So if you're going to do this, if after practice or after dinner, you're going to do this, right? So after this, then I'm going to go do something technology related or whatever, social media related. It's an agreement that you guys come to together is really important with that, because what that's bringing into is the community piece. You're including them into the process. Well, what are we going to do? So one of the things I found with our players is when they don't do something, right? We have different, everybody's different in the way they do, but if I've had issues with players that aren't, you know what, they're not holding themselves accountable to the work they need to do. So I've got one young player that it's like, okay, great. You know what? You haven't been doing your assignments. You haven't been consistent, because we know the consistency is the most important part of, you have to do the work. So you're not doing the work. Okay, great. You're not doing the work. What are we going to come up with then? If you don't do the work, what are we going to come up with then? So we came up with the agreement that we stacked it up. That in week 1, you didn't do the work. Okay, that's 2 days that you get your phone taken away. This kid came up with it. Talked to mom and dad. We all came up with this. We agreed on it. Yep. If I don't do the coach, the agreement I came up with Coach Vinny of doing this work consistently, sending you my videos, my journaling, you know what? No problem. If I don't do the work, okay, week 1, I get my phone taken away for 2 days. The second time, so that's for the first penalty. Second penalty, you do it again. Okay, now it's 3 days. 3 days, you agree to it. After the third time, third strike, it's a full week that you're agreeing you're getting your phone completely taken away from you. And so we talked about that and we say, hey, are you okay with this? Do you feel it's the right thing to do? I'm okay with it if you are. Right? As long as it's cool with you, but do you think that's fair? Yeah, it's fair. Do you understand why it's important that you do this work? Yeah, I understand. I get it, coach. I know why. So he knows he needs to do the work. But we came up with an agreement that was like, you know what? In order to hold me more accountable to it, we're going to do it. We're going to work on it together. And so that's the part where we see it a lot of times with coaches, of where they take away the phones in the locker room. I like that strategy.
Safe sport required.
Safe sports required now. USA Hockey made it. As adults, we put something in place of, I'm taking away your phone. Coaches do it at dinner tables or we're going to have team dinner. Phones in the basket. Control. But again, it's an agreement.
I've heard of even like adult, like when, like, I forget where I heard it, but it was like when adults even go out to eat, everybody puts their phone in the middle and the first person that touches their phone picks up the bill.
Love that.
I mean, there's lots of ways, but I actually have 2 things I wanted to add into all of this. One is something that I think we can relate to when we were kids. I know I talked on the phone.
Yeah.
Like I lived for that phone next to my ear.
Yeah,
so now it's just been replaced with a way smarter computer phone.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like we weren't as kids participating in something that our parents were probably like, oh my God, they're on the phone all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you had like 3-way calling, like that was a big deal, right? It was like our opportunity to be still in touch with one another. The other thing I want to point out is as you're building a schedule for your child with video games or social media time, however you want to take a look at it, you may want to have a few questions. I'm talking like 2 questions that you ask yourself.
Easy.
And that you possibly engage your child in, because how are they after a period of usage? Mm-hmm. So are they extra cranky? Were they in a good mood? Now all of a sudden they're bitchy. Like, are they more tired? Start to become aware of what and every kid's different. That's why I don't say, but I can notice, like, even with Naomi, if it's a little too long of time on like YouTube Kids, like when you take it away, it's like that drug addiction but like, how is she the rest of the day? Then what that means to me is I'm not saying that your kid gets to decide when their time allotment is. And for this very reason, because we as the adults in the room need to have an idea of how it affects our kids. Right. If they lose in Fortnite and they're out of bucks or whatever the hell the thing is called, does that ruin them for the rest of the day? And having those conversations, do you notice that's how you are after that happens? What do you think we could do about it? But I don't think it's just, that the habit building and all that's great, but like we have to be having the conversations. And maybe
that's where the agreement piece is so important.
Yep, we use it and we're fine.
That's
Maybe
the
they're still in a
community
good mood, so it doesn't matter as much. But again, every kid's going to be different, and asking yourself a couple of questions after their allotted time, or asking them after they've been using it for a while, like maybe they used it really late last night because you fell asleep and they still got on and used the phone. You know, it's, well, how does that make you feel in the morning? Like, help them to start to connect the dots.
Exactly.
But it's important not to just like, here you go, and then like you turn into a crazy person and we're just all supposed to live with that. Like, I think it's important to monitor not just like what they're watching, but how are they feeling afterwards.
Huge point.
So sorry.
No, I love it. No, that was perfect, right? It's perfect where the habit stacking, again, it's one concept we talk about of, again, you can utilize this, but the agreement is what matters. And that agreement, that's why we talk about, that's why when you look at, right, again, important, community, easy, we're trying to pull it all together. And that's that agreement piece. If this is the habit and this is what we're trying to achieve with it, technology, that's an issue and we're looking at it, that's a component that's really important, is to understand and monitor as an adult, what are you identifying in the process? Because in order to go direct it, in order to own the process, you've got to be able to identify those little cues. There is no one size fits all, and those cues were perfect, right? Because that's the reality. That's a part of the process.
I mean, I notice sometimes, you know, like if I scroll or I'm on Facebook, all of a sudden, I'm annoyed at myself because I should have done something else, right? So then I have those feelings, or it really is like a FOMO or type of situation. But you've got to be the same way we need to be in check with ourselves. Us as the adults in the room need to be in check with our kids. So asking, you can be the same 2 questions every time. You can, even if they're younger or you don't think they're going to give you much meat, make it on a scale of 1 to 10. Like, I like to really give very specifics because I think if we have to think about it, it all sounds like a great idea, but will we implement it? Like, come up with a question, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel right now? Are you happy? Are you agitated? Are you whatever? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? Then all they need to do is be like, oh, Mom, 7 or 3, you know, like basically they're telling you, shut the fuck up. But like, what's the number? Well, you know, I'm like, whatever, shut up. But I'm saying, like, it could be as easy as, like, I think, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at?
Yeah.
What do you think about and it doesn't have to be about how was it using your phone, or it could be like, okay, now, like, it could be something like, oh, we're gonna be having dinner soon. Like, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, blah, blah, blah. And obviously teenagers are gonna roll their eyes and probably give you the finger and storm out the room. Sure. But, you know, depending on the age, it doesn't have to be like, so tell me, child, how was your social media experience today? Like, exactly. You know, you gotta be real. Yeah, exactly. But if they're like barely talking to you, because that's what teenage angst is, all right, then give me a number. You want to continue with the habit. Us as adults, us as their parents, we set the standard. So yeah, I'm willing to give you the time, but then you have to answer my 2 questions. And all you have to do is mutter a freaking number to me. And that, like, you've made it as easy as pie for them to be able to still participate. And this way, you at least can start to judge what's going on there.
Yep.
That's my 2 cents.
No, love it. Love it. So, scheduling it, when and where, stacking the habit, and coming up with the agreement, right, with it. And then the last one, if you can't beat them, join them. Gamify it. Gamify it. How many of you have on your phone now, at the end of the week, it tells you how much screen time you had? Right? How much fun is it to turn around and say, you know what? Let's see who's, at the end of the week, let's see who has less. Let's see who wins that game. Let's race.
They have those things that you can monitor the whole family's social media from one, like, like a
so we talk about how technology, you can use it to your advantage. Make it a game. Make it a game. Let's see, you know what? Parents, I'm gonna play against you. Let's see who at the end of the week has less screen time on their phone. And if we do, let's come up with a reward. Right?
You can go with mom versus dad, or like siblings versus siblings. Like, it doesn't have to be like, I mean, if you're like us and you do your work from your phone, it's going to be tough for them, you know, in that situation. Or they're going to be like, wow, dad's on it for like how many hours? Like I've got this in the bag no matter how much I use it. But like, you know, you can change it up or play the game. If they're playing Fortnite, like, go play with them. Yeah. Even though they don't want you in the room. They don't want you anywhere near it.
But the point is that, again, when we use it, right, of understanding the principle of, okay, gamifying, guys, and where I learned my initial gamification process and where I took a lot away from was a thing called Competitive Cauldron by Anson Dorrance. And he's a North Carolina women's soccer coach, has won tons of national championships with them. And basically the concept initially, before gamification became the big thing and all that stuff, he was talking about competitive culture for years. And it's unbelievable how you can use that principle, gamifying competitive culture, whatever you want to use it as, but make it a competition. For a lot of you, we're athletes, or we have an athlete and we get into it, right?
I don't want to see what my college kid is posting. Talk about chess. No way.
No, you don't.
I think once they're at college, you're kind of like, you've done all this, right? I mean,
you don't want to see their Snapchat. But that's the part, is that you want to be able to look at it and go, all right, how can we turn it into a game? Because it's amazing how gamification principles are awesome. It makes it fun. Again, we're human beings. We like to be entertained. We like that part. It's not just, we're emotional creatures. And that's the one thing we don't accept enough about ourselves, is the reality is we can talk about the physical all day. We can talk about the mental, what you need to do, but we are emotional. And we have to build around that and understand that we want to be entertained. We want to feel good. We want to be excited. We are going to feel sad. We are going to feel emotions. And there's nothing better than contests and games and making it fun and all that stuff. It brings out a lot of those qualities. So something like that is a powerful way, a powerful concept to being able to get a hold of technology. It's just another way of doing it. There's several ways, but these were a couple of ways that we felt was important to talk about that maybe we didn't think of before, that, wow, maybe I could use that as a principle.
Other things too, like it doesn't just have to be gamifying usage. It could just be using it for games,
Yeah.
or using it in a way maybe they haven't thought of. So I don't know how many of you out there have ever played the game Heads Up.
Mm-hmm.
It's Ellen DeGeneres' game. It's an app. I believe it's free. It's hilarious and it's so much fun, but you need a phone.
Yep.
And you hold up your phone on your forehead and it has a name of a thing or a person or whatever. And then the other people have to give you clues, and then you have to try and guess, and then you can pass or whatever. But it's hilarious, and it actually records what's happening. It records this as you're holding in your head. It's recording what your friends are trying to do. And we have played it just us, and it's hilarious. So or maybe it's introducing, instead of them blindly watch whatever, maybe it's introducing them to a TED Talk.
Yeah.
Maybe it's you know what, you can use it, but for every for every 20 minutes of whatever, I want you to also incorporate something, because TED Talks are awesome. There's so many awesome ways to learn new shit in this social media world, that just starting to introduce them maybe to something else that just changes the way they're thinking about something. But it's a balance. It's, but figuring out ways, I'll give you a little bit of that, but you got to give me an inch here. I want you to watch this TED Talk. I thought it was awesome. And
what's great about that, that's community. That's the part where we're doing it together, right? So a lot of times we have these issues with, and it's a huge point. It's an awesome point. We have this issue. Well, if we just spend time together, all right, hey, let's go do that like this. All right, for every 20 minutes, 30 minutes, we're going to sit down and we're going to look at something, and you're going to influence them, right? Influence leads to perspective. Hey, did you know technology has this thing called TED Talks? And look, this is something that we were talking about earlier in the week. We talked about being more creative or taking a look at stuff. Well, check out this thing I found online. Let's watch this video together for 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't even
Use it to our advantage on that part. But those are the different parts that is. And reward is going to have to be greater than the dopamine hit they get playing Fortnite. Yeah.
But I remember, I know the technology is so much, the pictures are so much better, but I remember when Nintendo came out.
Yeah.
I was my parents' big concern was stop sitting so close to the TV. That was the big thing. But the amount of hours I was obsessive over Super Mario Brothers or Tetris or Marble Madness was another one. But it's this generation's game. Right. But as the adults in the room, I think it just comes down to limiting the amount of time we're willing to participate. And maybe the reward is more bucks for Fortnite for when they're using it. They all want more of those things to buy the skins or whatever it is that they're doing. Yeah, and I think, you know what, honestly, guys, the reward, again, we bring back to ICE, at the core of it is the community part. I think the reward, if honestly, you should make it based around family activities, especially when they're younger, right? I know when they're younger of what's something that they feel is fun that they can do with you? Is it, hey, you know what? All right, you'll take me to a movie. And maybe you don't go to the same movie, but you're saying, all right, I'll take you and a friend to a movie. We'll go together. You guys will watch a movie. We'll go elsewhere.
we'll go grab a bite, whatever, something like that. Maybe it's someone along those lines, but you connect it to each other. I think is important. Inside of that reward is make it something that's together, as opposed to giving more skins and all that stuff. I think that's an important
depending
part.
on like
no, I just think like it's again if we're talking about from a family perspective, that's the idea.
Make it
right?
experience driven.
Yeah, exactly. Make it more about together. And what we
you
can
have
do.
to know your kid and know what's going to really motivate them. And listen, just like everything else, like how many of you have wanted to like either try to lose weight or get back in the gym?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Sometimes the rewards, like I think even of Naomi, like sometimes the rewards have to be big to start.
Yeah.
To build the habit, to build the
Exactly.
pattern that you want, that you expect
Mm-hmm.
to see. Then once we're in like habit, okay, I don't need to whip out the new toy
toy,
because she learned a new thing or we've adapted now. Once we've adapted, then we move, we're constantly moving the goalposts intentionally because that's but sometimes you may have to offer something a little sweeter, like, as you're building the habit. So it doesn't, just because you say this is the prize this week or this day, it doesn't mean that's always what it has to be.
Exactly.
So I think it just, again, it's so family dependent. It's so dependent on what motivates your child, what moves your child, but ultimately as hard, like being a good parent is hard. It's hard to say no. It's easy to say yes. It's easy to say, just keep playing, whatever. I don't feel like fighting that battle. It's so much harder to like instill the lesson.
Right.
And that's why we got to pick our battles. Like some days you have it all in you to do it and some days you don't. But it's important that it's about progress.
Exactly.
It's about the baby steps forward. It's about moving from being stuck to sustainable. That's it. It's not this, things aren't going to change in a day. They're going to get annoyed at you. If they're used to playing video games or being on social media 24/7, you already know what you're going to hear. But, oh, my friends are on it all the time and they're allowed to text at night and, oh my God, how am I supposed to do this or that or whatever? You know what? But like, you're just accept that you're going to be the bad guy for a bit. But what you're instilling in them by asking them to schedule it, by asking them to, answer some questions afterwards and figuring out what makes sense for you, like over time, that will resonate.
Yeah. And I think the other part too is that from that segment, right, is that leading by example. We say control what you can control. And this is the argument we're trying to make all the time, is that at the end of the day, control what you can control as an adult. We do understand these things, but it's a two-way street. We have to include, right, our kid in the process. And then if we want to change something, then we have to realize that it's on us too. We can't just say, it's not the old days of where do as I say, right? And that's it. It's, hey, I'm in the hole with you. I'll do it with you. Let's do it together. And here, I'm providing solutions as the more experienced, more mindful adult. I've done my research. Here's some solutions. Here's some ideas. Include, collaborate. What solutions do you have? What can we do together? These are the powerful parts that create that connection in order to be able to get, hey, how can we get better at our technology part? Those are the things that's what really matters. At the end of the day, if you want to change the behavior, it's got to be together, not just you saying because I said so.
Yeah. Jim wants to know, did you play video games excessively as a teen?
Nope. No, back then it was Nintendo, it was Atari, and it wasn't, I played for a little bit, but then I was a more active. I wanted to be outside and play sports. I would play street hockey, basketball, soccer for, hours. I just wanted to be outside and let's play. We do freedom. We were jumping in and out of people's backyards at night. During the day, we play sports. At night, oh, okay, what else can we get into? All right, we're going to play freedom. We're going to go hide in people's backyards. It was pretty much trespassing, but that's what we did in Philly.
And then 4 to 5 hours a day, that's...
No, 45 hours a day it was playing outside. And Jim,
Nobody's asking about playing video games, I think.
Yeah, no, right. That's that. Yeah. It's become the new thing, right? Of where, again, socially, that's the new playground. Let's call it what it is. That's the new playground. They're there because, holy cow, all my friends are there. And then when I see them at practice, we talk about that stuff. Oh, man, that move you made, blah, 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 all this stuff. We were growing up, it was you played outside.
But I think it depends, like, is 4 to 5 hours a day okay? I don't know. That it depends on every family and every situation. It's
not okay if they're going to bed at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right. How's their sleep? How are they at school? How are they at practice? Are they getting done what they need to get done? Are they being, where, like, if they're able to check all those boxes and they have that amount of time left over, again, it's your comfort level as a family of where you're willing to. And
it's driving home what's important, right? That's at the core of all this stuff, guys. Again, I talk to our players about this all the time. I want to play Division I. I want to play in the NHL. I want to make, the highest level possible. Okay. Well, if that's truly important to you, if inside that's the feeling, that's the place you want to be, and that's the experience you want to have in 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 8 years from now, whatever it is. If that's where you want to be, well, there's certain things that are just non-negotiable. If that's what's really important to you, then you've got to learn as a human being the things that might throw you off, right? Unconsciously, you've got to understand then yourself better. What are the things that, all right, emotionally, what am I reacting to that's not helping me? Physically, what are the things that I need to do that if I want to be at that level, well, if I want to be a Division I player, I want to play in the NHL, well, I know for a fact then what I put in my body, the nutrition, right? How much time I get rest, how much sleep I get.
Even if you want to be a professional video game player
anything.
now. I mean, all
exactly.
of this
If you want to be the best, if you want to be the best, you're saying you want to do that and that's important to you, but is it really lining up with your behavior? And that's the influence that needs to keep coming back and forth and consistent message and simplifying it and understanding what's most important has to become a part of the community, but we have to always figure out ways to make it easy for ourselves. That's the simplicity part.
So it says these kids aren't on their phone. These kids are on their phones. They aren't playing like you, but it's changed. I mean, if kids were out like he was, Dyfus would be called. No, but I'm serious. Like your kids can't even like walk, to the store or something without people freaking out that kids are being unwatched by parents. Like it's just a different, good, better, or worse. It's a different environment.
Yeah.
There's, and there are neighborhoods like when I drive through, I love when I see the kids outside, but also we live in the Northeast. So when it's like 5 degrees out, it's not as easy. And when kids are playing on different teams or whatever, but it's, 4 to 5 hours a day. Is there another activity? Is there something else? Is there,
that's the habit stacking part, right? Of what can I fill that time in with and agree on it, right? Whether it's, all right, well, we're going to go work on something else that's beneficial to you. What else? If you're saying, right, and again, Jim, I'm talking specifically to you on that part, right? That if Brian's saying he wants to be at this level, well, these are the things that we continue to keep influencing him on is to understand it. Okay, you're saying you want to be there. It's always reminding, well, if you want to be there, well, you said this is important to you. It's always flipping it back on them. Well, you said this is what you want to do. So if that's what you want to do, you have to remind them, yeah, I did say, yeah, I do want that. I do want to play at that level. Okay. Well, if you want to do that, these are the habits. These are the things you need to do now, not later. You have to water your plant, right? Bamboo tree, 5 years, every day. You've got a whole division, trust the process, but in order to control that process, it's a two-way street. You've got to be with me, kid. We got to do this together. But that importance is the thing that drives it home. You said, not I'm telling you what to do. It's making them in the process and saying, well, you said you want to be here. Is that still important to you? And the more you keep bringing it back to that, the easier and easier it gets as time goes on. And he's already gotten better, right? We talk about that influence all the time, how much better he's gotten over time of how he's looking at things and realizing, okay, I got to be more reflective. You know what? I got to really look at what's really important in my game. I got to simplify things. That's been because we keep hammering away at him.
But also when they're older, like when they're a bit old, I mean, not obviously like elementary school age is elementary school age, but once I think you're past that, involve them in the schedule planning.
Yeah. 100%.
So if you're you're saying, we're going to allow you to watch, play video games or be on social media for like this amount of time, where in your schedule would you like to see that? Okay, so but now you have this other time. What else would you like to do? Yeah. Where are your non-negotiables as a kid? Like what are you, okay, so I'm going to layer this in, and then what's the other stuff you're working towards? What's the other stuff maybe you want to learn and do? And if you have this time now, enjoy it. Because I can tell you that by the time you're like sophomore, junior in high school, so you're going to be wishing for that time. So it's just a matter of including them in the scheduling process. If if that works, then it works. But it's, at least they can know, okay, we've set the schedule. Mm-hmm. This is the habit. This is when I'm allowed to use it. But they're a part of it. It's not just for the older ones. They're in the conversation as to what's happening.
Exactly. And that's the community piece. And that's why, again, if I want to take control of it, it's just using the science part behind it. Important is everything, because it has to be something that's like, I want to do that.
Ask them to make a list of everything they have to do and they want to do first. That would be the first thing I would do. Make a list. Okay, I know I have to do my homework. I know I have practice. I know I want to play video games. I know I want to shoot my pucks. I know I'm supposed to go to the gym. Yep. Like have them make the list.
Yep.
And then you take literally print from Google like a calendar or a little schedule and be like, okay, let's map it out.
Yep.
This is when we know you're in
the
school.
community together.
And then literally, like, I go to that arts and craftsy kind of place, but like you could cut squares of paper and be like, okay, let's map the week.
Yep, exactly.
Where do you want to put this one? Where do you want to put that one? Okay, but this is everything you said you want to do.
You said.
Right.
Key.
Or also is important to the family. Like going to school is not going to be an option. You're going to school.
Exactly.
But like, you know, this is it. This is your pile of everything. Now let's work together and put it out. And even the activity of physically putting the squares in place is just good for brain development.
Bingo. Right. And so, and that's the whole part, right? So when we review this stuff, guys, again, you got the ice, you can use that. That's at the core of technology wise. It's always bringing that back together.
But be mindful about being
community and easy. And the easy is what we're trying to figure out is how do I make this process easy? That's human beings. If we're 95% unconscious, if that's the way we're built, we're creatures of habit. So the easier we can make a process, the better and better it feels. So easy is, hey, maybe in the beginning, mom, dad, you're a lot more part of the process. It's a little more difficult, but as time goes on, I get used to it. It becomes a routine. Boom. I don't have to think about it. I have to do it anymore. But in order to start creating that easiness, that's why scheduling it, when and where, just schedule it. Make it, you know what? During that time, there's nothing else that's coming on. This is when I'm doing it. All right? I'm going to stack it. I already do something else. You know what? I already do this anyway. I already come home from school. I already come home from practice. I already do these things. So you know what? I'm just going to layer it right behind that because I already do this. It doesn't matter. Right? And then gamify it. You know what? Let me make it fun. When it's fun, it's easy. When it's fun, it's easy. Any athlete knows when we have practice where we're doing fun drills, oh my God, I can't believe that was just an hour. Holy cow. Small area games. Wow, that was awesome. Versus get on the line, skate back and forth. We're human beings. We're emotional. We want it to be fun. So creating that experience and gamifying it, competitive culture makes it so it's like, okay, cool. So understanding and looking at a couple of these different ideas will help you tremendously to just create that roadmap. You got to identify, again, what direction are you going? What do you want? What do you want to do? And then direct it is, okay, what are we plugging into that GPS? What are we addressing that GPS and consistently like, okay, this is where I want to go. So a little bit better every day, all the usual stuff, 1% better, all these things we see. But again, technology, if that's an issue, plug it in and then own it. Today we were great. Yeah, tomorrow, we suck today. Fine, get back on track, own it, own all of it. But fundamentally, it always comes back to, as influencers, as coaches, teachers, parents, we are a part of the solution. You can't put it on kids. They don't have the ability and the power to just say, okay, I'm going to do it on my own. It doesn't work that way. And even older teenagers, getting into even college, everybody needs that support. Adults, everybody needs that support.
But I remember times when they would just come unplug the Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, you're done.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop. I'm going to stop. And they unplug it and out and gone it would be.
But that's the part where we get this battle. But again, if you do it together, it makes it easier. And that
was only after I didn't listen enough time.
Yeah, I know. It's you don't listen. And oh yeah, Lucy, remember his kettlebells? I love those. Oh, I remember one time with Lucy, you remember that when we were freaking in the back? I think we have a picture somewhere of that. We were like throwing the kettlebells in the backyard. We were having a blast. Pull hopping. Oh, yeah, we got in trouble with that one.
I want to say, I hope you guys got something out of this today. It's an important conversation that should be going on all the time. I'm going to totally just say that in our Oh My Game community, we encourage, while we are we exist in technology, but like so much of that is go do this outside of what's happening, but then report back and let us know what happened. And, trying to get others into the drills and things like that. But you have to find what works for you. Yeah. If you like this, if you know someone that needs to hear it, share it, love it. I think that's like it. Yeah. But we will be back next week.
Yeah, this was a long one.
This was a long one. We've been rambling.
Yeah.
But it's all good. But these are conversations we need to have. It can't always be about the X's and O's on the ice. It has to be, like our sports are important, but it fits into who we are as people. And especially as parents, we're trying to raise our kids the best that we can. We're in this together and we've got to all, help each other out. So
such an important point. It's funny. I've been asking my, younger students this question. I go, in school, what would you say you're getting out of school right now? Like, what's the thing with school? The information that you're learning. And it's amazing how, in that variation, asking every single player, and they're all saying the same thing. Coach, everything I'm learning in school, I can Google. Literally. There is nothing they're teaching me in school that I can't Google. That's the time we're living in. In sports, it's the same exact thing. There's nothing you can't learn of how to shoot a puck, how to pass, how to do all that. There's nothing you can't learn by looking and researching and finding it on YouTube, Facebook, whatever. You can find all the information of how to do the hard skill stuff. What's the future now is the soft skill stuff.
Well, but I think even too with education, like that's the true gift of a great teacher.
Yeah.
Is that you could go and Google U.S. history or wherever you're from, but that doesn't mean you're
But
going.
That's the point of the soft skill.
You need a teacher or a coach that's going to inspire you to be like, I never knew I could learn it in this way. Like I talk about certain TV shows that are really informative and they're very educational, and you don't even realize you're being educated while you're watching it because it takes you through a unique journey of learning, and it's different. Like we have to bring different ways to the table.
But again, how am I going to communicate it?
Of course.
How am I going to create off of this? How am I going to actually utilize this information for myself? Right? These are different parts that come down to confidence. Right? These are all skills that
absolutely
that's the point. Is that's the future of education. Is that all those things are important? Yep. A teacher to inspire you to think that way. Awesome. But how am I actually using it in life?
Yeah. But some things you learn that you don't necessarily use in life, but it's good knowledge to have. It makes you a more well-rounded human
that's
being.
The communication part. How am I going to use that information? Right? How am I going to collaborate with somebody else? How am I going to use it when I create something?
Sometimes you need to know where things came from, why things are the way they are.
Right. How am I going to confidently use that? I feel like this is the right thing to do, the right thing to say. Those are all the parts that
hopefully they will
the
teach them how to think. Absolutely.
That is the future. That's what it comes down to. So,
right.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, so we'll see you next
Lucy,
week.
love you, brother. Jim, yeah, exactly. That's the idea. So, yeah, guys, we'll see you next week.
We're good. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.